Every year, on the night of Halloween, millions of people light candles, wear masks, and laugh in the face of fear. But what if I told you that this tradition began with human bones burned in sacred fires? And voices whispering through the smoke? What if the holiday you think you know was born from a night when the living and the dead walked the same earth, and no one could tell them apart? Long before candy and costumes, Halloween was a night drenched in terror. Ancient villagers left food at their doors so ghosts wouldn't come inside. In the caves of Ireland, archaeologists have found animal skulls and chained bone effigies, relics of rituals performed under moonlight, when druids believed the world itself was bleeding between realms. It wasn't make-believe, it was survival, and here's the truth almost no one dares to talk about. Every modern Halloween, every jack-o'-lantern, every flickering candle, is a quiet echo of that same darkness. You can laugh at it, call it a children's game, or post a photo online, but deep down, something ancient still watches from the shadows. Tonight we'll peel back the plastic mask of Halloween and reveal the forgotten festival beneath it. Samhain, the night when death had a voice, and the living learned to listen. You've heard of people who vanished on the eve of Halloween, haven't you? Of ancient rituals that promised to speak with the dead, and sometimes actually did. Long before the costumes and candy, Halloween was known as Samhain, the night when the veil between worlds grew thin enough to be crossed. It was said that the living could hear the dead, and the dead could answer. Across the misty hills of Ireland, families would lock themselves inside their homes, terrified of what might be wandering outside. Fires burned across the countryside, not for celebration, but for survival. It was said that if the flame went out, hungry spirits would find their way to your door. And people swore they saw human shapes flickering inside the fire, faces they didn't recognize, yet somehow knew. Halloween was born from that fear. The fear of being forgotten and the dread of being remembered by something no longer human. What's most disturbing is how little has changed. We still light candles, wear masks, and pretend laughter keeps the darkness away. But every year the air feels different, heavier, ancient, almost watchful. Because Halloween isn't just a holiday, it's a reminder, and those who truly listen rarely stay the same. In the cold plains of ancient Ireland, Halloween was the most dangerous night of the year. When the last sheaf of grain was harvested, the druids would announce, "The light has gone." From that moment, the border between the worlds dissolved. People left food by their doors to appease the dead, and entire villages were said to vanish during storms that came without warning. They called it Samhain, but it was no festival. It was the time when the unseen came to collect its due. Children were kept indoors, and elders whispered about the false guests, spirits who disguised themselves as deceased relatives to enter a home and devour it from within. That wasn't folklore, that was survival. The same primal fear that we now cover with plastic masks and carved pumpkins once ruled the hearts of entire civilizations, and deep down, that instinct never left us. That shiver you feel walking alone at night in late October, it's the same unease our ancestors felt. Halloween isn't about horror movies or parties. It's about what happens when the world remembers that the dead were never really gone. Follow that trail far enough, and it leads to the strangest truths buried beneath our history. In the heart of Ireland lies Owain Gat, the Cave of the Cats. The Druids believed it was a portal to the other world, and that, on Samhain night, creatures would emerge from its depths. In 2019, archaeologists unearthed burned animal bones and small human-shaped talismans chained with iron. Some said they were meant to lock evil spirits underground. Others believed they were offerings, an attempt to bargain with what lived beyond the dark. Fire was the centerpiece of the ancient Halloween ritual. Entire villages extinguished their hearths and gathered to light one single sacred bonfire. Only from that flame could each family rekindle their home fire, symbolizing protection and unity. Records tell of those who refused to attend, found days later, their bodies rigid and pale, as if frozen from within. Coincidence, perhaps, but the pattern was never ignored. The Celts saw Samhain as a battlefield between gods and shadows, a time when the laws of nature paused. Every year, they said, a portal opened beneath the hill of Tara, the spiritual heart of Ireland. Those who ventured too close spoke of footsteps echoing underground and a low chant carried by the wind. And that's where Halloween began, not as play, but as a confrontation with the unknown. When Christianity reached Celtic lands, it brought new words, but not new comfort. Samhain became All Hallows' Eve, the night before All Saints' Day. But what happened in the shadows stayed the same. In 1589, witnesses in Kilkenny described transparent monks walking through the church at midnight. Elsewhere, candles lit themselves on tombstones while church bells rang without human hands. The bishop forbade anyone from leaving home on October 31st, yet the bells kept tolling. During the Middle Ages, Halloween became a target of fear and faith alike. Women caught keeping candles burning through the night were accused of witchcraft. Many died at the stake between October 31st and November 1st. A 17th century Scottish manuscript tells of Moira Hainsworth, a villager who spoke to the wind and predicted the deaths of 3 neighbors, all found dead days later in the same field where she prayed. Still, the people held on. They left bread and milk on their windowsills, believing generosity kept the spirits at bay. The Christian Halloween became a strange hybrid of light and darkness, heaven and hell sharing the same sky. And centuries later, we still light candles to keep the unseen away. We just changed the name of the ritual. Modern Halloween feels harmless. Children laughing, costumes shining, sugar everywhere. But its history is anything but innocent. In 1974, a Texas man poisoned his own son with Halloween candy, creating the myth of tainted treats that still haunts parents today. Decades earlier, in 1933, dozens of U.S. cities reported mass vandalism and fires during Halloween night. The government had to invent community parties to contain the chaos. It's as if the wild spirit of Samhain had simply found a new disguise. The modern world itself, and the phenomena continue. The British Paranormal Society notes that nearly half of all ghost sightings in the UK occur between October 30th and November 2nd, the same sacred window the Druids once feared. In Scottish villages, locals report whispers from sealed wells and flickering lights that dance through graveyards at midnight. Folklore calls them the lights of the ancestors. Science calls it gas emissions, but no one can explain why they only appear during Halloween. Maybe Halloween was never about monsters outside. Maybe it was always about the ones we carry inside: fear, guilt, longing. For the Celts, Samhain was the night to look directly into that darkness and whisper, "I see you." We still do the same. Only now the bonfire is an LED candle, and the chants became background music. But the meaning hasn't changed: to face what haunts us, and to stay alive to tell the story. If you've come this far, you already know Halloween isn't just about costumes and candy. It's an inheritance, the echo of ancient fires that once burned to keep humanity from freezing, body and soul. So if these stories stir something inside you, maybe it isn't curiosity, maybe it's recognition. Subscribe, because this is just the beginning. Each episode is a descent into the crossroads of history, faith, and fear. Next, we'll uncover the myth of the fallen angels and why so many cultures believe they still walk among us. Prepare yourself, because truth is far more terrifying than legend. And remember, Halloween may have become a global party, but the shadows that created it never vanished. They simply learned how to wait. And every time a candle goes out by itself, someone, somewhere, still feels the breath of Samhain returning. At the start, I asked you a question. Is modern Halloween just a holiday, or the last remnant of an ancient ritual? Now you know the answer is more unsettling than expected. Halloween was never about monsters, it was about reunion. The Druids called it the bending of time, a moment when the past touches the present. And you, by listening, have just crossed that line. But the veil is still thin, and there are other secrets waiting beyond it. Before you go, think about this. How many Halloween stories have truly made you feel fear? Have you ever noticed how quiet the world gets on that night? How the dogs bark at nothing or the lights flicker without reason? It's easy to call it superstition, but that's exactly how the ancients described the presence of spirits. Tell me, have you ever felt something you couldn't explain on Halloween night? A sudden chill, a whisper, a sense that you weren't alone. Science gives reasons, but instinct knows when the air changes, and that's when the past speaks loudest, the sound of wind. A candle flickers to life. Today, we've opened another forgotten page of history. Each story here is not about ruins, it's about remembrance. Week by week, we'll uncover what time tried to bury, the truth that connects the living and the dead, the sacred and the profane. Because the past still speaks if you know how to listen.